Exactly. Last time. Awesome. All right.
All right, I can see now.
Perfect. All right. I'm going to go to dashboard, get everything set up, and we'll be good to go. This is so stupid. It happens like every single time right before crashes. And it's like, come on.
Small price to pay for live stream.
Yeah, small price. But I guess we're actually live, though. So I don't know. I'm going to go there so that I can actually see the chat because I don't trust this. But yeah, so to those of you watching, if this is actually live and this machine isn't lying to me, welcome to the stream. This is going to be the first stream and hopefully a set of weekly or bi-weekly streams I'm going to do with various guests. So welcome to the first one. I am the Wolf of 1918, and my guest today is Schutzen 1916. He doesn't have a YouTube channel, but you can find him on Instagram under the same name. We're just going to be talking about, basic things about reenactment and stuff like that. Give me just 1 second as I'm still trying to figure out and make sure that we've got everything set up. Yeah, it looks like we are. Yeah, cool. Perfect.
Right. Great.
I'm just going to pull up the live stream in a separate tab but muted so that I can actually get a good view of the comments so that I'm not... Because I don't think that this is fully accurate. But that's just me.
You can see the chat area right now, but...
Yeah, but like that might not be fully accurate to the thing due to YouTube being stupid.
All right.
So... Give me just 1 second. Cool. So, yeah, perfect. Anyway, so to properly start everything off, I'm having a brain fart here. We discussed talking about going over reenactment versus World War I airsoft, as those are two very big. Those have big differences in terms of your kit and how you actually do it. So I know that we started putzing around the idea of actual reenactment, and eventually we moved to more airsoft related things due to just how California is in terms of there not being a community here. So if you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about that in your own experience.
Yeah, of course. So, my experience, I didn't know that there was many other people that were into like World War I or World War II kind of like stuff. And at first, I found people with similar interests through going to airsoft fields, and that's where I started buying World War I gear and going to airsoft fields. But at first, I got like pretty basic stuff, pretty cheap stuff, like stuff from China, and I'll get like a C96 or something, or use like a World War II gun as I'm going airsofting, because I just played Battlefield 1 when it came out, and I was like, oh wow, this is what they actually wore. And then went out to the field, and people are like, whoa, you do World War 1? That's pretty cool. I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then I found out through Instagram, because I made an Instagram, that there was other guys that had like World War II stuff and World War I stuff. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna eventually do like some airsoft with them. So about a year later, I actually met some World War II guys rather than like speed softers and like the basic guys that run with M4s and like AKs and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I met Wolf over here, and I met a few other people that are into World War II stuff, and it was pretty fun. I went to a pretty good field, and I had some good experiences there. Sometimes things could be a little difficult because I have to wear glasses. It's hard to wear a mask with glasses, but
can't exactly see your target at all.
Oh yeah, it's like running around seeing like blobs.
Yeah, that looks like an enemy. Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, it's like oh wait, that's a barrel. My bad.
Yeah. Oh no, that was not anybody. That was a building.
Yeah, or yeah, I'll just do something like that. But when it came to reenactments, I went to like two Civil War ones, and I thought those were pretty cool. And I thought there was only Civil War ones and maybe World War II
Yeah.
ones, and then Revolutionary War ones. But I noticed that there was World War One ones, but they were all the way over to the East Coast and out of state. And
Yeah.
so yeah, but currently we got more people into World War One that branched over from World War Two, which is pretty
Yeah.
fun. So right now we have
We've got
four or
about
five
eight
people
people. We've
in our
got about
group.
eight total people in our regiment, not
Four
including
with
us
is it
two.
four with
We,
uniforms? Oh yeah,
we've got about locally we only have us four with uniforms, but total we have eight people, two of which are actually almost done with their uniforms, a couple more who are just starting out,
yeah,
and a couple more with complete uniforms. But unfortunately, we've blocked off anyone else who's not doesn't have a uniform. Got to have certain requirements now to join.
yeah,
Um, we grandfathered everyone else in. But yeah, I had a very similar experience to you in terms of like getting into things and all that stuff. Just a lot of I just kind of saw some. I guess I saw World War One airsoft's his videos, and I was like, oh, people can do that. People can like that's something that you can do with World War One because I knew World War Two was possible, and I had a World War Two uniform. You have my old World War Two uniform,
yeah,
um, and I was like, oh, okay. So I did my World War Two thing, and I just thought that World War One it was just too specific. I kind of wanted to do it because it was less controversial than doing World War Two, and I just didn't want to deal with the people going, oh, that's a Nazi thing, and I just didn't want to have to deal with that 24/7. So
yeah.
I went with. I eventually moved towards World War One, and best decision that I made. Uh, but again, yeah, just California in general. There's no there used to be a West Coast group, like an actual one that was super well organized, and apparently it was from Washington down to Southern California. And I know that they still have events down in Southern California, but like their website is down. There's no way to contact them. They have no resources, and I don't think the association exists anymore. And all the reenactments are just a bunch of guys who just kind of do what we do, coordinate,
Yeah,
and then get together. And it's just like, I don't really like that. I don't like. They're so far away, and then it's already something where it's like not official. So it's like I can do
yeah.
that here. Just California in general sucks for that. Just the West Coast. There's a couple good groups up north and down south, but nothing nearby. It's
I
like,
noticed that there's a good sized group in Washington that does it.
yeah, there's a few people that I am connected with on Insta that do that type of stuff, and it's got some they've got a good amount of people. 1918 Doughboy, um, and a couple other people are up there. I'm trying to think, brain fart. Eisenracher. I'm bad at pronouncing those names. I think that's his name on Instagram. On
I
Instagram,
think Pioneer is on there,
yeah.
but I don't know his full
But like
name.
here in this area of California, there's nobody. There's us two, and then there's the group in that district. Okay, that was weird.
Is
It all stopped for a second.
it
That was
back on?
yeah, it's back on.
Okay, good.
The stream's back on.
All right, good. We're working here.
Back on track. Yeah, but with the differences with reenactment and airsoft, it can be pretty substantial in terms of how you actually play and how you um, go through everything. With airsoft, there's less of a drive to be fully accurate, more of a drive to be efficient for what you find in airsoft in terms
Yeah,
of the actual tactics and stuff that you have to use and all that. Like I'll find myself ditching certain pieces of equipment because it's just not useful. I don't use it for that specific thing, and it's just going to get in my way or make too much noise. Like, for example, maybe having a water canteen clipped to your bread bag, or having the spade and the bayonet. Those are more aesthetic things than they are actually useful. So,
Yeah. Sometimes I just run a bread bag with or not bread bag, but like my gas mask bag, put BBs and like gas in it, and then put like it on my belt. Just run that.
yeah.
But
Yeah, it's definitely pretty interesting, the differences. And then you have the reenactors who swear like World War One airsoft or airsoft is not reenactment, and if you reenact and play airsoft, you better have a fully accurate uniform when you play airsoft. Otherwise, you're just a farm, and you don't. It's like, guys, you guys need to calm down. Like, it's a game, and we have a good uniform. We're just changing it up to play a game that is just literally throwing pellets at each other. It's like,
yeah,
it's not. This isn't me trying to represent history. This is me dressing up, literally playing dress up, and you know going off and shooting other people with toy guns.
yep.
Technically, that's what reenactment is, but actual reenactment has has an education, has this educational purpose behind it. So there's a standard that you need to meet with reenactment. Not so much with airsoft, because there's no historical educational purpose behind playing airsoft, whereas there is that background with reenacting. That's the difference in standards, and why if someone's playing airsoft in a historical based uniform, if you think that, that needs to be 100% airsoft, 100% accurate, otherwise they need to feel bad or they shouldn't be wearing it, then you probably need to reevaluate how you see airsoft and how you see the people who play airsoft, because it's just not the same as reenacting in any way whatsoever. And people should not be held to the same standards as reenacting when playing airsoft. It's just, I don't know. People who do that irk me, and it can be a little draining.
Yeah,
So
I've learned stuff through. So I don't know how I figured it out, but I found the Facebook chat for the Central Powers, and that actually helped me out
yeah,
with
that chat has been a
research a lot.
lifesaver.
Yeah, it is a lifesaver. Like I was
Yeah,
just like I joined it, and they're like, "Oh, I see people posting pictures of the uniforms," and then I do it, and then they're like, "Oh, you got a World War II
yeah,
belt, World War II K98 pouches, World War II bread bag strap, World War II, or I didn't have a World War II helmet, but I had like a really bad like repro.
yeah.
But now I know not to wear that stuff because it looks like trash.
Yeah,
It's like a learning thing.
it's been that group has been a huge help. There's a lot of people in there that give a lot of help. There's a lot of people in there that don't give any help and just like to critique things, whether or not they're right in critiquing it. But in
Yeah,
general, most of the people there are doing really good things and are super helpful. There's just a few bad apples in the mix that go out of their way to critique things that, like, oh, that's that you shouldn't be wearing that belt buckle. That one's not the right style belt buckle. Well, it's authentic, so I don't know what to tell you, man. You know what I mean? Like, you're saying my belt buckle's far, but it's a real one from the war, so I don't know. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like it's just one of those things. But most of the time, they're super helpful. My uniform has improved leaps and bounds since joining the group, because the people there are super passionate about reenacting and want to make sure that you have the best impression you can, so that you can properly represent history.
yeah, for
So
sure. Like I noticed that like a lot of groups, or not necessarily airsoft groups, but reenactment groups go like the route of like, oh, um, you don't have to be 100% accurate. You can bring your own gear, and then like I'll see pictures of people like with like an M35 style helm and like maybe like West German boots
yeah,
and like What else do I see that's really bad? Visors, like Oakley's. Um,
And are these World War One airsoft groups, or are these just actual
no, these are
reenactment?
like reenactment groups. These are like the guys that aren't part of the Great War Association or the like little groups that I see once in a
So
while.
weird that those groups
Or like
exist
I'll
where
see
they're
World
not.
War II, um, I'll see like Y. What bugs me the most is like Y straps,
Yeah, I
and
saw
then
I saw your post a while ago where you were where you saw the. I guess you had found a picture of like these World War One reenactors with German World War Two Y straps, and you made this post blasting it. It was the greatest thing I've ever seen.
yeah,
It was awesome.
I was just I just found the picture so disturbing because it had, let's
Yeah,
see, the picture was like World War II white straps, World War II bread bag, and then they were wearing an M15 phobos, but with gold trisse, which was used on like only the 1907 Fedrock,
yeah,
and like like pre 1915 tunics, they wouldn't wear like the bright gold.
yeah,
They wear like the gray one, like this one
yep. It,
on these kind of
it's
tunics.
I just don't understand that. Like I can understand if you're a new reenactor and you're just starting out to make those types of mistakes because we've all been there. But those people didn't look like they were new. They looked like they had been in the, they had.
Yeah,
If you have custom stitch, like how do you pronounce it? The tresse.
yeah, Tristy.
If you have that custom stitch to your collar, that means that you've spent quite a bit of money into that, into getting that made.
But yeah,
And I just feel like you wouldn't be you would have been in it long enough to be able to do that. So that's just I just don't understand the mentality. I just don't get it.
sometime camo Stahlhelms get on my nerve.
With like early war equipment, if they're doing like an early war impression, yeah.
Not only that, it's just like the super bright painted
Oh yeah, where
rather than like gold.
it's like shiny painted
It's like
almost.
bright yellow, and then I'll see space gray, which they didn't use, and then yeah, I see like those two colors that mix. I don't know. I don't like those aren't the accurate colors. I mean, they did have yellow, but they weren't like bright yellow. They were like
It's like the yellow you've got on my camouflage one. That type of
yeah,
yellow is the
like
one
that.
that they used.
It's like
Yeah,
more of that yellow.
and then they'd
Like
always have it dulled down too.
yeah, like I was thinking about painting this camo, but then I was like, no, it's
Yeah,
because it's only good for 1918. So like, why do it?
camo helmets before 1918 existed. They are just the historical exception. They're not the norm. That's sort of how I look at it.
Is that kind of like
There's
the the ear cutout M18 helmet?
What do you mean?
So they have one like this, but they have like a
Oh yeah, the
little
cutout M18.
yeah
Yeah, it's like that. It's like they existed. They were in the war, so wearing one isn't exactly inaccurate, but wearing one is a historical exception. Unless your purpose is to portray a specific soldier or unit that used that item, you don't want to be using a historical exception piece. You want to be using what was a historical norm in the context that historical reenactment serves the purpose of education. You want to make sure that you're properly representing what you're trying to educate people on, and you don't want to give the false impression of, yes, they wore camo helmets in 1916 on the Somme. Yes, we have photographic evidence of one or two soldiers with camo helmets then, but out of how many? It's not the norm. It was the exception, and we shouldn't be treating it like the norm. Not saying that that's an issue. I don't see any camo helmets being used for Somme reenactments, but just as an example,
yeah
you know. So that's my policy. Don't like for the 17th. There's such a varying amount of equipment that it wouldn't be a historical exception to use, let's say, an M1910 model Feldflash because the 17th Reserve Infantry Regiment has. I've got photographic evidence of plenty of members using old equipment that should not have been used at the time that it was being used. Like they used gas mask bags up into 1917.
yeah
Um, there were plenty of soldiers using those. when by 1917 the only units that were really using those were people who wanted to or people who could not access them. So the 17th wasn't exactly very well supplied. So I have, reason to believe that the 19th Feldflash, if you were issued that canteen and you didn't lose it, you'd probably still have it. Um,
I see
but
glass ones.
yeah, the ersatz.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, those are cool, but I don't know how they would like
Yeah,
stay
I
together
personally
without breaking.
I personally won't get one just because I know that I'm gonna break it on accident one day.
Yeah,
Just
me
playing
too. I don't.
airsoft, and it's like it'd be cool to have, but I don't think I'll spend the money to buy one. It's just asking for trouble when you get something made of glass.
Yeah, but I can actually drink out of it, unlike the reproduction ones.
Oh yeah, the reproduction aluminums. Oh god, those are
I don't
so
know what's wrong with it. It just annoys me so much, and everybody has the same issue. It's like,
yeah. It's like why can't they make a decent quality aluminum canteen? Like it's not that
yeah, and they
difficult.
charge them for like 70, $80
They're,
new.
they're super expensive, and they're completely worthless. And I just don't understand it.
Unless you like
You know?
wash it for like 20 minutes, and then you have to drink it within 24 hours.
Yeah, it's just dumb.
Yeah.
Just dumb. Like they're not much different than this, which is an original M15. I'm currently just working on some stuff with it. I got to clean off the entire exterior, but um,
I think it'd
not
be
much
better to
different
drink
than
out of
this.
that.
Oh, it is. This is a great piece to drink out of. I use this on hikes and stuff. It's awesome.
Awesome.
It holds a lot of water and it's great. Um, but I don't know why the reproductions can't match this. I mean, I figure I would be okay with it just being made out of a different material. Just give me something usable. You
Yeah,
know,
right?
like no one's going to care if it has the same shape and size as an original, and it's made out of like I don't know polyester plastic. That's really hard, like those higher end water bottles. I don't
Yeah.
know if I would really care too much about that as long as it looked good, as long as it looked authentic. It's usable. It's, you know, I don't know. You'll have the purists going, "How dare you say that?" And I was just like, "You're trying to get something that looks good." I'm from the purely perspective of someone who has gone through the trouble of trying to build a uniform and not having the money at one point to buy authentic items.
Yeah.
Having a cheaper canteen that is made out of a hard plastic that's usable and looks good, that would be a lifesaver for a lot of reenactors who don't have the money to buy the cheap aluminum stuff that is super expensive and you can't use, or the authentic ones that are the same price and you need to replace all the actual cloth and
I
leather.
wonder if the World War II ones are the same size and have the same issue or not.
I have a World War II one right here, actually. So
Is it the same size?
no,
Oh, dang.
smaller. So
Does that have the aluminum issue?
this isn't a reproduction. This is an authentic one.
Oh, nice.
So I'm gonna hope not. But I bought this for campouts so that I could have so I don't have to use like a massive water bottle. That's all I bought this for.
Nice, nice.
So
Yeah, I want to invest in a ball that looks like it that doesn't have the issue that I could use just for airsoft, but for reenactment, I will just stick with the one I have.
yeah, I'd recommend. So on eBay you can find just this for about I want to say $20. I wouldn't spend more than 25. Some people say like, oh, $30 is a good deal, but if you go to German eBay, you can find these things for $20. Just this
And
thing,
it's the original, or is it a?
originals, yeah. And then you get them. You'll want to give the exterior a good scrub down just to clean it off a little bit, and then you soak the internals with boiling vinegar, and then you're going to want to use boiling water mixed with cream of tartar, and then give it another rinse of water, and it'll be sterilized, and then just rinse it out a bunch, and you'll be good to go. And then you could
Awesome.
just get reproduction covers and leather equipment for decent prices, and then you'll have
Yeah.
a good World War One M15 Feldflash.
Yeah, you gotta
So
invest in one of those. May do that soon since Nestoff is down and since
yeah,
Shutzen is not shipping out of country.
yeah. Apologies for all the movement around for those watching. I'm not really in a very comfortable position right now. This chair is not the
Oh,
best, so I
yeah,
got to keep it
I took a
positioned
section out of
well.
my couch.
Huh?
I took like a section out of like my couch. It's pretty comfortable, except it's like hard to lean back.
Oh yeah, this chair has no neck support,
Yeah.
so I'm like that. It's like, oh
It's
god,
like
yeah. So we got the next camp out scheduled for last weekend of May, right? Is that what it
23rd,
was?
right?
I think it was like the 28th to 29th, or the 27th to 28th.
Okay.
It
Well,
was midweek.
I could do that. I may bring a friend with me because that's his birthday,
Oh,
and he's
okay, that'd
also
be
into
really fun.
he's actually into World War II Soviet stuff.
Communist.
Uh, but that'll be fun. I'll ask him about it.
So I've had a couple questions from a couple people about, the specifically like in terms of regiments and reenacting and all that. Of course, there's always the question like, oh, how do you get started? But I've had a couple people ask me about getting started with like making a regiment. Um, and you're the guy that kind of talked to me about like initiated the discussion with me about making a regiment. Um, and then I just was like, oh yeah, that'd be awesome. Um, with us having gone through the process of getting a good foundation for this over the past 8 months, I think we started in what? We started in September.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So with all the hindsight and all the experience we've gone through, with very little advice on actually doing this, what advice would you give to someone who's looking into starting their own regiment?
Well, personally, the advice I would give is to. So it took me about like a year and a half to find people with similar interests. So like, it may take a while to like find other people, but once you do, you can get them into it or find other people that already have gear. Like how I got started or how I learned how to like organize kind of like a group is I was put into a group chat with a regiment that was kind of a regiment, and they talked about like different events they would do and like different like roles and different people that needed gear. And how I figured it out was just going to like an airsoft field and an Instagram. So like if you find people on Instagram and then people in your area, and you like, I think the best way to do it is to spread it through social media. So like if you're looking for like, say like, hey, I need a guy or like a dude that is interested in doing some Afghan, Soviet, Russian stuff from the 70s, or maybe that was 80s. I don't know, but you find somebody that's also interested in that, and they can be like, "Hey, I'm kind of interested in Cold War, but I don't have any gear." And then you have some gear, so you can help them out with some tips, and you can get them some like helpful links. Like most of the time, when it comes to a group, is finding people, putting them into a like group chat, and then helping them find items that they could buy for like a good price. Like most people don't know where to go to buy this stuff, or they'll go like the really expensive route or they'll get overcharged by like cheap stuff. And so like
Yeah,
I'll help people by looking for items on eBay for like super decent price because it's on a bid. And not many people bid on items all the time. So like these original rifle pouches. I got these for $30. And another thing that's really expensive are these. These are like, you see them on eBay for like ranging between like 280 and like, I don't know, like 2000, depending on the quality.
Yeah.
And I got this one for like 160, but that's because it was rusted. So what I had to do is I had to sand it and then paint it and then put a liner in that cost like $40. And then I was set. So, and that's better than buying like one that's like $300. Hey, Tatum, I'm busy. Sorry. Ow. Hey, I'm doing something important. Can you leave?
Hey, Derek,
Yeah.
you have my computer still?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of something.
So to go ahead and answer your question, one sauerkraut, there isn't a minimum event attendance for the Reserve Infantry Regiment 17. Um, you can just join. We don't really have any sort of minimum thing like that. Just a minimum uniform requirement is all that we ask. Oh, Schutzen 1960 is a little busy. I think he's going to come back in just a second. Oh yeah. All right. So I just sorry. 1 second. There we go. No worries. I just turned off your microphone while that was going on. Just turn it down just a little bit here. I want to get rid of one of those. There we go. Perfect. All right. Sorry about that little bit of a break there. So yeah, from my experience from watching, from sort of building the 17th and like just getting more involved in the reenactment community, I've come to the realization that there's there's a couple different types of reenactment groups. There's the digital regiments that are all online. Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, we're all part of the same regiment and we build the same typical uniform, but we don't really get together and do anything. We just kind of hang out in online chat rooms and talk about how we're building a uniform. When yeah, oh, hang on here, something's going on with the internet. There we go. I'm back. Um, and those are great for like new guys who are trying to get started and they want to find a place where there's a lot of information. Those virtual regiments are perfect places for resources. Then there's the physical regiments, regiments where people who join are hopefully all in the same area, and people can get together and do airsoft or go to actual events. Um, with with the 17th specifically, I've tried to make it as much of a physical regiment as possible. We do have some people down south in Southern California. I think Alex Reed is one of our only members that isn't nearby. Um, Everyone else is basically within 40 minutes of us, of all of us. I think the furthest person from the main conglomerate is you, and you're one of the founding members. So you can't really do much there. Um, yeah, exactly. We're all within about the same distance. I'm actually moving to that area pretty soon here. My family's moving out of our current house, and we're going to be moving closer to Sac. So I might actually end up about 30 minutes away from where you're at. My family's been looking at some properties. Where you live in Auburn? That's actually where my family was looking at some houses. So yeah, we might be moving up there, or Roseville or Lincoln. So I'll be closer to Forest Hill and all that, which will be great. So it'll be yeah. Um, But yeah, it'd be pretty cool. Like, because I've only got a few more months, maybe about a maximum of just over a year um, before I ship off to the Coast Guard. Yeah, well, I'll be shipping off to the Coast Guard in September, but hopefully I'll be back for my A class in Petaluma for about 8 months, and then I'm going back and hopefully to the East Coast. So I've got that limited time window. But but yeah, like having a West Coast association, that'd be awesome. Uh, the West Coast Union of Great War Associates. Now, see, we got to make the acronym like funny. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat there. Like, the WCU. Ah, but I do like that West Coast Union of Great War Associates. I've looked into how what it takes to start a reenactment association like that, and there's a lot of legal tape. There's a lot of legal tape, and it takes a lot of money because all the insurance. You have to have the insurance. You have to have association policy. You have to get registered as like a nonprofit in some cases if you're going to be taking in money for membership fees. Um, you have to have the property to build a place to have the actual reenactments at, and when you have the property, you have to. Yeah, it's just a ton of work. And it's like, oh my god, someone who is still in college and isn't planning on staying local, it's not something that I can really do right now. So Um, if the 17th was to join the Great War Association, we would have to create our own insurance. Like we'd have to get our own insurance for the members, and we would have to pay membership fees to the GWA. So that's something that I learned. But yeah, further advice for those thinking about starting a regiment, I'd say if you're new to the hobby, definitely try to figure out if there's a regiment that already exists near you, because regiments are always looking for new people. And the only reason why we started the 17th was because there was no one nearby. 1 second. There we go. My internet's starting to be a little funky, so we might have to cut it a little short here if it keeps acting up. Um, so yeah, it's been it's that's the only reason why we created the 17th. But if you live in an area where there already are pre-existing regiments, definitely just join one. But if you want to create a regiment because there's no one nearby except for you and a couple of friends who are doing it, there's definitely some steps you want to take. There's a lot of research involved. I've done a ton of research into the regiment. I've spent way more money than I want to admit on books and on photographs and on access to digital files about the 17th, and I've wasted hours looking stuff up. But I now know a ton of information, and I'm very happy to know what I don't know. It depends on what I could have otherwise been doing, and when I'm sacrificing when I could have been doing schoolwork and now I'm stressing out because I have a project due in like 2 hours and I'm like, I think that might be wasted time, and that's exactly what I've done. But um, hopefully over the over the summer, I'll be uh, I'll be actually able to write a comprehensive book before I ship off to boot camp about the 17th, and hopefully get it published. That's my goal. I want to create a comprehensive book on the history of the 17th with references from other regiments and from other files from the German army. That's my overall goal. So yeah, yeah, I'm hoping so. Um, yeah, for sure. Yeah, the files from the New York Public Library. Holy crap, that was not cheap. Hang on. Apparently, apparently can't hear you. Go ahead and speak again. Let me just go ahead and check here. All right, let me try this. Go ahead and try something. Say something.
All right.
I don't know
Damn.
if it worked. That's so weird.
Because I can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, we got you.
Oh, I'm lagging a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, for getting research on the 17th, so I looked up Reserve Infantry, all in German, Regiment in R17, and because that's what was on the Wikipedia page, and I looked at that and I did a bunch of scrolling. I thought I found the book. I was like, holy crap, I found the book on the 17th, and it was on the Bavarian one.
Oh.
Oh, there goes the internet. Yeah, we're gonna have to probably cut this short just because internet and stuff. Your sound might cut out, and there's no way I could know. But regardless, yeah, so I was like, oh crap, I'm back. More steps, and then I came across a Google Books thing where it was like the name of a book, and it was the German one. It was the proper Reserve Infantry Regiment number 17. I was like, oh crap, maybe it's like one of those things where I can see part of the book. And no, it just gave me author information and all this other thing. So I was like, okay, well, now I know that there's a book that exists. So I looked up the book name and I was like, looking for it, can't find it anywhere. Okay, I go back to the Google thing and it gave me a library lookup. So I clicked on that thing that it offered me, and it gave me a list of libraries that had a copy of the book. There were three books in existence. Oh my god. Okay, so I look at all of them. One of them's the New York Public Library. Super lucky. I don't know how. And so I go to the
Jeez,
New York
really?
Public Yeah, I go contact the New York Public Library. Ask, hey, can you scan this? They say, yeah, we got the whole scanning service. Just fill out this form. And I was like, perfect. A whole month goes by, and I finally get the scans in, and that's how I found the books. And then I just got them translated about 6 months later, and they're fully translated and in a Google Drive, safe, out of the way, for regimental eyes only. And then I'll be writing the book. And then once the book's written and I've gone through the translated pages and fixed a bunch of translation errors, I'll make everything public, all the information public, because it's public domain. I just don't think it's ready to go into the public eye because there's a lot of translation errors. I used a very cheap translator. They did a great
Yeah.
job for what I paid them to do. Not at all upset at the job. I got exactly what I expected, which is I have to do some work myself, which is what I'm planning on doing. I just needed a basic, just a basic translation that I can understand enough to fix the errors in said translation.
Yeah. And you're gone. I don't know if I'm still here. Hmm.
No idea what happened there. It just cut out. Am I back?
Yeah, my eyes are a little crazy if I'm honest.
Okay, cool. So I am back. Yeah, I don't know what happened. My browser crashed. So I guess.
Am I back, or is Wolf back?
Yeah,
So I'm
but
gone.
you're fine. There we go. Now we can hear each other.
Right.
You're good. I
don't know
was
if
just.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, my browser crashed, and I was like, "What?" It's just the joys of living out in the country.
Yeah. Oh, I see a few people on the chat that I recognize. Yeah. Cool.
But yeah,
Somebody wants to know: is there a minimum event attendance?
Oh yeah, I already answered that question earlier. It was no, there isn't.
Oh.
But yeah, like I got really lucky with the pictures too. I looked up 17 RIR and on eBay, and it was like a massive, like 30 pictures available. It was pretty good. And then I asked around on that Facebook group, and someone linked me to a website that had an entire photo album with like 100 pictures for sale. It wasn't like for sale physical. It was a digital album of the 17th. So it gives me a lot of good reference. It gives me a lot of good names.
Yeah,
and the photos in that
reference for sure.
and the photos in that photo album, the digital album I got, match up with the photos that I have physically. Like there's the same people because they're from the same group. In fact, some of the pictures are copies of each other, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
you got a lot of stuff to work with when it comes to references and research.
The resources I have for starting from the ground up on a regiment that there's been nothing written about this regiment in the past 100 years besides the regimental book. There's nothing at all out there. So being able to find and just start from the ground up has been very exciting. I've loved every minute of it. And I'd recommend that if you're a history buff and you love doing research, choose a regiment that has like nothing on it. There's no information out there for it. Maybe they mention the regiment in like the German Army on the Somme, which is one of the only books written recently that mentions the 17th. And do research on it. Figure out its story. Write it down. Write an actual book cross-referencing the French records and the British records and whatever records it takes to build a good story and book and all that. So yeah. I just got asked if we should do World War I reenacting. I've thought about it. I might do that next. Either Russian or French. If I do another World War I impression, it's going to be Russian or French. But I was
thinking Russian or Doughboy, but not sure.
I'm not going to do Doughboy because that's just way too overdone. Especially considering the Americans like showed up at the end of the war just to kind of basically throw the last nail in the coffin that none of the other powers could do.
I just thought about it because I have a relative that was a Doughboy.
Oh yeah, then for sure do it. For me, I don't have any skin in the game, so I'm thinking probably French or Russian, just because those are those are two major powers that did a lot in the war that are like never touched upon. So
what about? Oh yeah, I was gonna say British, but
British is done.
Italian
is done enough. Italian maybe there isn't a lot of resources out there for Italian. For me, I don't want to be spending a bunch of time researching the 17th and then also be spending a ton of time researching just a basic Italian uniform just to get it wrong. So that's
when it comes to Italian uniforms, I only know of one maker, and he's in Europe.
And I've heard
no links.
And like I think I've heard about the same guy, and his like waiting list is about a year before he can start making a uniform. There was one guy
I was thinking about messaging him.
There was one guy I was talking to about getting an Austrian uniform made, and because back when before my brother got his Austrian uniform made, I sent him an email asking like, "Hey, do you do KUK uniforms?" He's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Cool." It's like, "I'd like to order one." He's like, "All right, cool. I have a wait list." I was like, "Oh, how long is it?" 4 years.
Oh, what?
4-year long wait list. Because this dude makes the uniforms himself. He doesn't have anybody working for him. It's just him. And he's very popular because he does very good jobs. It's the best uniform you can get. I think it's made out of surplus wool from the war that was just kept in storage, and it's in great condition. So it's like they're made and they look and they feel just like they did back then. If you're going to get into World War I reenacting, I definitely recommend World War I Russia. If you're deciding between World War I Russia and World War II German, do World War I Russian. It's not done enough. For World War II Russian. Again, not done enough to be properly represented.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible that this one dude's just doing that. I heard that that Polish website that does the uniforms, that's also done by one dude. Granted, he only does 2 types of uniforms. Well, 3 types.
Is he the one Polish. That does the gas masks?
No, it's that Jurama guy, Jurama Munduri.
Oh yeah,
I'm butchering the name, but yeah, him. I think it's just the one dude because that Facebook group tagged that specific guy in a couple of comment chains about his tunics, and he talked about how
those are pretty good. That's where I got the hat from.
Yeah, they're really good uniforms for me personally because of my current state in life and because of my current like interest in reenacting and how I knew that I wasn't going to be using the M15 a lot more because I wanted to move on to this type of tunic. Um, I just didn't really look into it much. This tunic's good enough for me right now, and maybe I'll get a better one down the road, but I don't know why I'd want to move on from this.
Yeah.
Well, as we start to end the end of the stream, I just want to say a couple things real quick. Apologies for the choppiness. This is the first time I'm actually like doing this on my YouTube channel and using this platform successfully. So there's a lot of cutouts because I'm still getting used to this and I'm making mistakes just because I'm new. And this is really the second time that I've had a guest. And so I'm still working out the kinks in terms of making sure everything works correctly. So yeah, it's been it's going to get better. I'm going to have better title cards. I'm going to have it better scheduled. I'm going to hopefully be able to, once May ends and I move into SAC, I should have better internet that isn't as bad as this is. So I should
you're right. You're like right near the city then.
Yeah. I'm hoping to do this once a week. It's probably going to get. I'm probably going to be able to do that for at least the next 8 weeks because my current term is ending, and I don't have classes till the last term of summer, and then I only have one class, and then it's the end of college for me. So I'll probably be able to do this weekly for about 8 weeks, and then bi-weekly during my last bit of college, and then weekly again until I ship out to Coast Guard. So, yeah hopefully, thank you all for joining. I do want to say thank you guys for over 100 subscribers. That happened really quickly. I posted that really stupid meme on my channel, and it went through the roof. I'm really appreciating the feedback on my videos and my tutorials. It's been awesome. I'm going to hope to add Schutzen to a few of my videos and to get him in on some stuff because he doesn't have a YouTube channel yet, and I need to get him.
I mean, I do, but I don't post many serious things on there. It's just mainly like.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I'm trying to set up a rig, and I'm gonna pitch it to you as well because like it'd be a pretty cool rig to like custom make for World War I reenactors. I don't know if it'd even be viable, but I'm gonna get a really beat up World War II flashlight, kind of like the same model I have here.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be super. It's gonna be like a $20 one because it's so beat up. I'm just gonna take off the back here, like take off the actual back metal sheet, put a GoPro there with the camera part sticking out here.
That is a very good idea.
And I could hang it here so it doesn't look farby, and I can record myself playing airsoft.
That is a very good idea. I was going to say that was the best idea, but
it's so a little bit of a personal question to the chat, but I'm fine with answering it. How old are you, and when did you get started in reenacting? How old were you when you got started?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm. Let's see. Let me put on my weird glasses so I can see.
Homie Squad 1 wants to know. Sounds kind of like a creepy question, but fully understand.
Well, I'm 18, and my social security number will cost you extra. And what was the other question?
How old were you when you got started with reenacting?
Oh, so first it was just me with airsoft, and I was like 16. Like I was like a sophomore in high school, and I was like, oh, you know what? I've been making some cash. I don't have anything that I want with it. Like I could have bought a PC or something, or
uniform.
Yeah, so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna buy a uniform, and then I did, and all the original pieces I have from 2 years ago or a year ago, I don't have anymore. I either sold it or it broke or given it away. So, but that's when I got started about 16, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
So I'm currently 20 right now. I started doing World War II airsoft 2 years ago. 2 years ago, 3 years ago this October. I started World War I airsofting 2 years ago this September. So we started around the same time. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And yeah, I started when I was like 18. So it's interesting to see myself as like actually part of the on the older side of the spectrum in terms of the new generation of reenactors, which is
I'm like the
pretty
youngest right now in the regiment. Now I
yeah.
think about it.
In the regiment, you're like the youngest, but like in terms of like this new generation of reenactors, you're on the normal side,
Yeah,
so like the age. So yeah, it's been interesting to see. Um, in terms of wrecking original stuff, in terms of these flashlights, these things are super common. These things were private purchased up the wazoo, and I'm not for destroying original things either. I don't like doing it. Like I'm not going to do it unless the thing's already wrecked, and I'm honestly against restoring original items unless restoring it actually helps preserve it. Take for example,
yeah. That's what I did with my Stahlhelm.
yeah. Take for example his Stahlhelm. It was a rust bucket. The thing was going to basically be nothing but dust in another 30 years unless something was done with it, and
Yeah,
fixed it up and restored it and got it to working condition. That's why I'm saying I want to get one of these that's in really bad condition. I'm talking just the lights broken, nothing about it will really work. It's just a rust bucket that needs something done with it. A $20 piece on online.
Amazon.
I might even get an East German one because of the same model. They look similar enough, and they're not as historically significant. So just
Yeah,
something that's
but
cheap, not historically significant, that I can use to hide a GoPro. So it's it's one of those types of things. Um, did I tell you that I went into this antique shop in Carson City, and the dude had a really poorly he had a East German flashlight, which is that shape, but it was done up to look like a Wehrmacht flashlight
no,
from
you didn't.
1944. Yeah, so it was obviously a East German one based off the shaping, the company who made it, and all that stuff. You know how World War II Germany liked to stamp everything, right? Stamped
Yeah,
the metal. That was Nazi Germany, and East Germany didn't do that. Well, this flashlight was poorly painted black, like it looks like spray paint, and on the back, handwritten, not even with stencil, just handwritten, it had the manufacturer mark, like Berlin 1944, and handwritten little white paint with streaks, kind of like what we'll do with our canister, except it looked worse than that. And it was like,
uh,
okay. And the little light dome was fractured more than the one that I have, and my dome is pretty bad. My dome has a pretty bad like crack right there.
yeah.
Um, and I was just looking at like I was like, this is cool. I might get this. This is obviously not World War II, but like it'd still be
That's
cool to
cool.
have. Got to be $20. I turn on the price tag, $130,
I
and it
feel
was labeled
bad for the kid that's gonna buy that.
World War II flashlight, and I was just like, oh my god, $130 for this. I bought this thing for 50.
40, right?
Oh yeah, $50 after shipping. It was just like
Jeez.
I'm probably gonna repaint this thing with my oil paint that I used on my canteen because it
And it
looks
works, right?
yeah,
Nice.
it works. Everything's good, and and um, and the dude also had a reproduction Feldmütze. It looked exactly like the one that I'm wearing now, without the cockades. The inside looked like a really worn reproduction. It had no
Yeah.
production stamps or anything. The dude was selling it as an original for like $400.
Uh,
He was selling M95 ammunition for $5 more than what it typically goes for per pack.
mean,
The shop was after I started seeing some of the prices, I was just completely disgusted. I was like, I need to get out of here because this is just everything's overpriced by like a large margin. Like it's really bad. There's literal
yeah.
like either fakes, reproductions, or post-war models. And this guy either knows that he's scamming people, or he is too ignorant. Either way, this guy isn't trustworthy, and he thinks he has things he doesn't. He was selling like second class World War One Iron Crosses that aren't in great condition for like $250. I bought the one on my
Jeez.
I bought the one that I have for $100, and I feel like I got a decent deal, but not the greatest. and it's like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? He was it was just really bad. The shop was just cursed. The whole thing was cursed. But yeah, for as terms of repainting, no, totally. There's rust on this. It's rusted and all that stuff. It's a World War II flashlight. This is the most common
Yeah.
World War II flashlight. I'm gonna repaint it. It's I repainted my my post-war mess kit. That's the same model as an early war. It's something that
Yeah.
we do. It's preserving something of history. Without painting it, you're going to, paint can always be removed. And if there's nothing historically significant about how this looks, then it's fine to repaint. This is a $40 piece of equipment. These things are so common. It's not even
Oh
funny.
yeah.
Like, I get the whole ideal. Like, hey, we don't want to repaint it. Leave it in its. I'm replying to Homie Squad right now. Yeah, don't repaint it. Don't touch it up. Leave it in its original condition. And I used to have the same exact ideal, but in terms of like actual practicality and the actual effect it has when you just do a quick coat of oil paint, which can easily come off with some use, it's fine. It's not a big deal. It's nothing to get too worked up about. And I've come to that realization just over the years. Yeah, I used to be against
Yeah.
wearing authentic items, but most of my kit is now authentic. So, like, if
Yeah.
I
I
see
have
an
a
item,
few authentic things coming in soon.
yeah. But like, if I see an item and it's obvious that it was like, not painted. Like, I have an M15 belt buckle that's authentic, and there's no evidence of paint. I was told to paint
Just
it.
silver or
Yeah,
silver color.
it was just the blank silver color, and someone told me to paint it feld grau because even though it's original, it's not accurate for some reason. But there's no evidence of paint on it. So I told him, like, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, oh, it's not going to hurt. I was like, yes, it will, because this piece obviously never had paint on it and was kept like this throughout the war. So painting it is going to ruin the historical significance of it. Whereas if I have a mess kit that has been painted 4 times over, it's not going to hurt it to apply a
Yeah.
second coat of, like, a fifth coat of paint. Same thing for this flashlight. It's obviously painted black at one point. Painting it black again isn't going to hurt it as long as I use the appropriate material.
Yeah. As
You know,
long as it preserves it.
yeah. That's why I recommend oil paints over spray paints, because oil paints is what they used. So use what they used.
Yeah. I need to repaint my Stahlhelm with some oil paint.
Yeah, I think Stahlhelm's used a different type of paint, but
Yeah, they did. I just used spray paint on mine. That's why mine's so matte color.
spray paint might be better for Stahlhelms. I think that's what most people recommend, but for these items, I like oil paints because the reason why I like oil paints is because it nicks, it comes off. So with canteens and with flashlights, that's what you want. You want it to kind of come off to reveal
Yeah.
colors underneath. Stahlhelms, you want more of a solid look. So it's like with Stahlhelms, I heard that the best way to do it: apply a coat, throw sand on it. Apply a coat, throw sand on it. Apply a coat, throw sand on it.
Seen people put like sunflower oil on them,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Well, anyway, we're running over time a little bit.
Yeah.
Surprisingly. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Well, just remember, if you want to get in reenacting, just yeah, I'm having a brain fart right now. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so when next time you like are thinking about like getting into like reenacting or airsoft, just remember like what precautions and like your atmosphere where you're going, like saying like say like you wouldn't like just go into like a coffee shop and be like, hey everybody, come to my house. We're doing a World War II event, and I have a M1 Sherman tank that I built, and it shoots fire. Like, just know your audience or know your people that are wanting to be into it, and also educating people is very important. And that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, similar thoughts. Just reenactment's fun. Don't get too unless it's an obvious problem in terms of like a piece of historical significance getting ruined. It's nothing to be too worked up about unless it's obvious that that's what's happening. I probably worded that terribly, so. But yeah, it's reenacting's fun. There's a lot of research involved. It's if you love research and you love history, then then reenacting's your thing. But yeah, it's been a fun journey. I'm definitely learning from this live stream on how I can do better on my next ones too, in terms of like actually writing things out and not trying to wing it, and setting it up preemptively so that I don't end up having massive issues as we're trying to start everything. So yeah. Anyway, I hope all of you have an awesome week. I'm gonna hopefully release another couple tutorials throughout the week on doing different things with your kit. As always, I am Wolf of 1918, and my guest today was Schutzen 1916. Find him on Instagram. Give him a follow. He deserves it.
Right.
He's our
Thanks, man.
Unteroffizier. All right. Auf Wiedersehen und tschüss.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Bis später.